In this video, I'm going to go over the Prodigio and I'm going to go over the Bushido, and I'm going to sort of talk about what went wrong with the Prodigio and what's so great about the Bushido. I've gone to outfitters and the Prodigio is up there, and I'll make a comment like, wow, that shoe is really, truly bad. Like to the point where you like really shouldn't be selling it to anyone. And the salesperson can't say anything, so they'll just sort of look at me blankly. But I know, and they know that that shoe is going to fall apart before 500 miles and is going to make people's feet bleed. The Prodigio, the worst shoe I've ever used ever. The first thing that you're going to notice is that I cut out the side. And the reason why is they must know this. I don't have a particularly unique foot where the sort of the ball of my ankle joint would rest somewhere differently given the size of the shoe. And I've used their shoes for 4,000, 5,000 miles. So I know that the size of my foot fits the La Sportiva. Although something else that La Sportiva did, which is insane, is with their Gore-Tex shoes, and you should know this, with their Gore-Tex shoes, they take the same size as their non-Gore-Tex shoes. So with the Bushido and then the Gore-Tex Bushido, they take the Gore-Tex and they just shove it into the normal Bushido size. And so what you get is you get a shoe that sometimes is like a full size smaller, which is, you know, if you're on a through hiking, you get a shoe and you got to start using it right away. You don't notice until you've walked a bit, so you can't return it. Now you've got a major problem. So if you're going out there and you need to buy the Gore-Tex version, make sure that you size up and make sure you go to the store and buy the shoe. And so I had to cut this out because it was literally making me bleed. I've used at least 2 pairs of the Prodigios, so we're talking around 1,000 miles on these shoes. And the first thing that you notice when you put them on is that they make your feet bleed. They make your feet bleed right in where that foot joint is. The other part is, even though you have one of the things that I'm able to forgive in the other La Sportiva shoes is that their laces are terrible. They come undone very easily. And I don't think that this is something that's really hard to do. Topo has laces and they work. Brooks has laces and they work. And for whatever reason, the laces that La Sportiva has chosen are ones that come loose, and that's a major problem. The other part is, if you look at the top of the Prodigio, this part right here doesn't get any wider than what you see right now, which I'm not someone who needs a huge foot box. I'm not always talking about like, oh, I've hiked so many miles, and so the my footage just expanded so much, and so I need this like huge, big, you know, front foot box. I have a pretty narrow feet, and that's why La Sportiva has worked for me. But when I put my foot in this shoe, this part here, I'm not talking about the foot box. I'm talking about why they decided to make the lacing so tight together. It stays tight here, and then it'll be loose up here, and you can't do anything about how tight it is on the bottom. Now, working down the shoe, the materials on top are fine, but what you find out immediately in these shoes, probably this shoe has about 100 miles on it. This shoe has like 100 miles on it. This part here on either side starts coming off. And if you talk to anyone who's been in the shoe business for a long time, one of the things that they'll say is the way that you can tell the quality of the construction of the shoe. We're not talking about the materials, but the construction of how the factory put it together, that they got a good factory in some other country to make their shoe, is that the top part, this toe box, doesn't come off of the shoe itself. And that's the first thing that comes off in the La Sportiva. Then all around the bottom of the shoe with the foam, it just starts to wear out on the bottom, which like that's not a big deal. The shoe still works, but it's something that if you were at a design conference table, you'd be like, hey, look, like it doesn't look so good that we're like wearing off the bottom rubber, and that the traction, the rubber that's on the bottom, wearing off the foam, the rubber that's on the bottom should come out more. They should do some kind of fix. The friction traction of the La Sportivas are great. La Sportiva has that on every single one of their shoes, and that's wonderful. And then the last thing is that whatever this really hard plastic is that they use to make the heel hard is super sharp. So when it starts to wear down, it will dig into your foot like crazy. These okay, so that's not everything. The other thing is that La Sportiva always it's this like big thing for them on all of their shoes. Their tongues, this tongue is too short and the top is so hard that it digs into the top of your leg. Why did La Sportiva do this? I think it's not that I'm just like the shoe itself sucks. What it is it creates a kind of wonder that a shoe company that's been around for so long is making a shoe like this. Like, what are their systems for testing and doing iterations of their shoe that makes it so that they're able to make a shoe that just like straight doesn't work? Are they just throwing foam that they like sort of know works on the bottom, throwing their traction on, and then putting it in a last, like a foot last, and seeing, like putting the textile around it, and then, or bam, now I have a shoe. Let's like throw it to production. I don't know how much it costs to do one production of a whole set of shoes, but I imagine it's a lot. And then like we'll hear how the public hates it, and then we'll modify. Like I don't understand. I think that there's a clue in the La Sportiva tongue that they have so many pairs of trail runners, and it's a really easy solution. Topo fixed the tongue coming down when you walk. Like you can see it as I hold the shoe up, the tongue is going down to the right. Topo has fixed it very simply. And I don't understand why La Sportiva can't just make that fix. Maybe it has to do with their lead designer. I don't know. Moving on to one of my favorite pairs of shoes. I wore the Topos for about 2,000 miles this year, and they're fine, and people love them. But I still think that the Bushido is the best shoe. Um, the Bushido lasts about 900 miles. They reinforce the rubber at the front really well. The traction on the Bushido, whatever it is with this friction traction that they've made, it is stickier and more durable than any shoe that I've used. I've been hiking for over 13,000 miles. I've used a lot of different shoes. I like switching shoes, trying to find the perfect shoe, and the traction on the Bushido still is incredible. The Bushido, after about 6 or 7,000 miles, it will start ripping here. But as you can see, through iteration, La Sportiva has known that and has reinforced it there. It will also break on the bottom part here, and there's really nothing that they can do. This is such a perfect shoe because um, it doesn't just break down in one spot that that they could have gone back and reinforced, but sort of the entire shoe explodes together. And unlike the Prodigio, where that's around 300 miles, with the La Sportiva, that's 700 to 900 miles. And you can't really use this shoe unless you have a fairly narrow foot. And I'm lucky to have a narrow foot, or what I think other people would call a normal foot for thru hikers. The part on the heel that hardens it, which you have to do on every shoe, is on the outside as well here, so that you're able to get more cushion inside of the shoe. The top eyelets are actually made out of aluminum or metal because they just want to make the shoe really beefy. You can see in the front that it's super beefed up in rubber here. It's not just that, Nike and Topo and all of them, they have this like thin sort of rubber reinforcement, which works. But La Sportiva decided to go even more hardcore and put actual rubber there. I think they might do that because this can also be sort of a higher, a 13,000-14,000 foot kind of shoe. And then you can use it for like actually climbing like class 4 stuff. The Bushido has the same issue where the tongue falls off to the side, and the shoelaces are terrible. It comes, I'd say every 5 to 6 miles, it comes loose, and that sucks because you have to stop and retie your shoe. Although it's sort of a nice habit. It gives you sort of a break, so you're not just like crushing miles forever all day. The other part that I really like about the shoe is on boots, you have a shank. The shank goes over the heel so that you so that there's more stability and the shoe is tougher. It can't just be folded. Like this shoe doesn't have a shank, but they're using the sort of how much cushioning is in there to keep it stiff. But with this is a trail runner, and you can see with the plastic part here that goes through, if you were to cut this out, this plastic part goes all the way through the heel, and it's acting the same way as a shank. So you have a trail runner that has the same sort of stiffness as a boot. And I think that the reason why they did that is because they know that people are going to be walking, they're going to be hiking in the shoe. It's not just for running, and they wanted to have a really freaking stable shoe. And you can see with the heel, the shape of the heel, when you put this shoe down, you feel planted. And when you're on a 14,000 foot mountain doing a class 4 that's super scary, and I still get really scared being that high up, you want a shoe that when you put your foot down, you have a lot of confidence. When there's a drop on one side and there's a drop on another side, you want to feel like it sticks to the rock and that it's stable. And that's what the Bushido does. So it's not a perfect shoe. Like I've said in a lot of my other videos, I haven't really found an A+ shoe. This shoe still has problems with the laces and with the tongue, and maybe it's not as breathable. Although I can't really tell as some of the other shoes, but it's good and it works and it's comfortable. And so if you have a shoe that fits the Bushido, and make sure you go and you see if your foot fits the Bushido. If you have a foot that fits the Bushido, it's a great shoe to pick. So thank you for watching my bit complainy, but turning into also that I love the shoe. And I really like the company La Sportiva because they've made some really great shoes. I just wonder why it is that they fail so drastically with some of their shoes, and then with other shoes, they're incredible. Maybe the way that they design their shoe is they just throw out a new concept, like a light trail runner that's cushioned, like the Prodigio, and then they iterate. And the problem is that the consumer still needs to buy these crappy Gen 1 shoes, and so I hope that that they figure out a better way of doing that. So thank you for watching this video. I'm going to do more gear videos, and I'm also going to do ultralight philosophy and training. On one level, the gear is super fun. On the other level, my motivation in making this channel is that I wanted to help people become ultralight that felt sort of overwhelmed. And a lot of that is philosophy, emotion, and sort of getting into sort of the education of understanding it's not that hard to do. And so I'll be doing those videos as well. So thanks.